Turning, looking, see.
It is Game 2 of a 3-game set between the Yankees and the Oakland Athletics. Yankees put 9 runs on the board in last night's game. They look to continue that momentum tonight behind rookie JP Sears. My recap, your reactions, coming up next. This is Yankees Game Night. Officially a win streak. Let me know if you guys want the fire for a 3-game win streak. I typically do it for when we get to 5 games, but I'm willing to go for it tonight. Let me know what you think. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. 75th game of the year for the Yankees, and they are now 55-20. We are creeping up on the halfway point of the season. What's been a magical season so far. Maybe I'm weird, but I actually really enjoy watching the young kids come up and pitch. Even if they don't have a great night, when it's a pitcher, it's really easy to kind of gauge whether or not they have good stuff. You know, how's their poise? How's their command? You know, how do they prefer to attack hitters? And everything that I've seen from JP Sears has been phenomenal. Going back to his first career start on May 25th, dominant. He's been dominant in AAA this year, 1.83 ERA, 0.74 whip, and hitters are hitting just 162 against him in AAA. So it was no surprise that he pitched well tonight. Even though this was a quadruple A offense, it's still a major league offense. We saw that they gave Holmes a little bit of trouble in the 9th. We'll get to that. But to me, Sears has big league stuff, and I'm just really impressed with what I've seen from him. So this is going to be kind of a quick recap because there wasn't a lot of action in this game. It was just kind of a ho-hum win. Actually, game went, pretty quick. It was almost over in roughly 2 hours, but we had that kind of a weird 9th inning there. Bottom 1, DJ walked, and Donaldson, who might be heating up, doubled off the left field wall to put runners on second and third with 1 out against Frankie Montas. Next batter was Jose Trevino. He smoked a base hit to right field, and DJ scored. That made it 1-0 Yankees. Top 2, there was a routine fly ball to center field. I guess it was right center field. And Hicks and Gallo nearly collided. They ended up bumping into each other, and they didn't look at each other after Gallo caught the ball. Maybe it's just me, but things seemed a little bit chilly between those guys. Just what I'm getting from, watching that. I watched the replay a few times. You could see that neither one of them looked thrilled. It didn't look good out there. Gallo looked kind of embarrassed, and Hicks looked a little bit ticked off, so keep an eye on that. Bottom 2, with 2 outs, Marwin Gonzalez came to the plate.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
Solo shot from Marwin, 3rd home run of the year, an absolute no-doubter. That made it 2-0 Yankees. That was all the scoring for the Yankees. Top 3, really nice job by Trevino to pick a runner off of first base. He and Rizzo have done that a few times this year. Trevino also nailed a runner at second to end the top of the 4th. The defense in general was pretty sharp tonight. Rizzo had a couple of nice scoops. IKF had a couple of nice plays on some hard hit balls. Josh Donaldson made a nice diving play at third base. JP Sears was the story, though. Done after 5 2/3 innings. Final line, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Still supporting a 0.00 ERA after 2 starts and 1 relief appearance. He is 3-0 on the season. Second straight season in which a Yankees rookie has pitched back-to-back scoreless start. Luis Gil did that last year. He is, of course, on the IL with that Tommy John surgery. Wandy Peralta gets overlooked a lot, and he had another good outing tonight in relief. Mike King pitched into a little bit of trouble in the top of the 8th, but got out of it with a 4-6-3 double play. Beautifully turned by the Yankees.
Double kill.
Joey Gallo went hitless again tonight. Let's save all the Joey Gallo comments tonight. We do it every night, and I just want to get off of it. So I'm just going to tell you what he did. He went 0 for again. He's 0 for the last 11 days. No hits since June 17. You can't tell me that Andujar would go hitless for 11 straight days. He's hitting .306 with 7 home runs and an .839 OPS at AAA. I don't blame him for wanting to get traded because he is a better player flat out than Joey Gallo at this point. Joey Gallo is lost. So we're going to just leave it there and no more Joey Gallo talk tonight. Let's focus on the positives from here on out. Interesting situation in the bottom of the 8th. Aaron Boone got tossed for arguing balls and strikes after another tough call to Aaron Judge below the zone. And then there was a pitch that almost hit Aaron Judge, and he kind of had to skip rope. And then the first pitch by Clay Holmes in the 9th inning was up and in to Ramon Laureano, knocked him down. Holmes had to work around a catcher's interference that was going to be the final out of the game. His momentum got kind of screwed up. You could tell that he just wasn't as sharp after they had to resume play. Ended up giving up a couple of hits and a run, but ultimately slams the door, and the Yankees have won their 3rd straight game.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
More of that, please.
Lighting Samurai says Florial also hitting well in the minors. Yeah, he's having a good year down there. All right, guys, we got to give out the belt because this was a great performance by the kid.
Let's go. Belt winner.
I've been really impressed by JP Sears from what I've seen so far. I just, look, the Yankees have a solid 5-man rotation, and it's unfortunate that he's going to have to go back down to AAA when they activate Aroldis Chapman tomorrow. But I just think this kid belongs in the big leagues. And it wouldn't shock me if he, comes up and pitches a lot more in the second half of the season. So let's take a look at the box score. Not a whole lot of action in tonight's game. AJ says, why did they only let Marinaccio only get 1 out? Probably something to do with the analytics. That seems like a matchup thing. I mean, you had arrested Mike King and you had arrested Clay Holmes, but you don't want to bring either of those guys in the middle of an inning if you can avoid it. They ended up actually having to bring King in the middle of an inning. He goes 1 1/3. Peralta pitched pretty well. He got 2 outs, and Marinaccio got 1 out. He got out of the 6th. So pretty nice job by the pitching staff. The offense, pretty slow tonight. 5 for 27 combined. DJ took the collar once again. 0 for 3. Aaron Judge 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. The ump was really tough on him all night. Just all night. Rizzo 0 for 3. He got robbed. He hit one hard to left field. They talked about how he's been kind of hitting into bad luck this year. Unfortunately, it's true. He smoked one and it just got run down. Donaldson hit one off the wall. 2nd consecutive night with a double for him. Trevino 1 for 3 with the RBI single through the right side. Threw out a couple of runners. Also, the catcher's interference counts as an error. So for a minute, they had the earned run in the Clay Holmes ER column, but it got removed. So that's an unearned run because it is an error. Marwin Gonzalez 2 for 3 with an RBI tonight. He was the other finalist for the belt. Tough night. Good night, but, tough not to get the belt. And then Joey Gallo, Gall 0 for 3, 167 batting average. OPS creeping down towards the 500s, which is not what you want from somebody who you acquired really to be a power hitter in the middle of the lineup. So, we're going to leave it there. Although we do have... we got a super dono about Joey Gallo. Judge had more Ks than me tonight. Gallo greater than Judge. Joey Gallo chiming in from the from the locker room. Appreciate that. Let's take a look at the pitching. So Sears, obviously 5 2/3, gets his 3rd win of the year. I mean, that's got to feel good to wake up in the morning. I don't know if he reads the paper. He's kind of young to read the actual paper. Although I read it when I was 12, but paper isn't as popular now. But you pick up the box score, you go to MLB.com, whatever you do to look at your numbers, and you see 3-0 with a 0 ERA. I tell you, that feels good. Marinaccio, 2nd hold of the year. His ERA is still really good, 2.60. He's been kind of a revelation this year. Just kind of a funky arm motion. Peralta, ERA down to 2.20, continues to pitch pretty well. And King and Holmes both continue to pitch well. Holmes' ERA now 0.50. That's a half a run per game. Davey Streb said, is there no accountability for blind umps? You know, that's a good question. There should be. There should be. One of my favorite things about going to games at Yankee Stadium growing up was that whenever there was a bad call by the umpires, the organist would play 3 blind mice. I used to love that. The organist at Yankee Stadium is the best in the business. It used to be, I think his name was Eddie Layton, and he was amazing. But I don't know who it is now, but it's still that now they play a lot of like hip hop covers and stuff, which I also find pretty interesting. Samantha T says the umps have to account for Judge's height. Yeah, he's 6'7".
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that's the shirt from RotoWare. He's 6'7". He always gets that pitch called below the knees. And it's just something that, he can't be chasing that pitch out of the zone. That's not his pitch. He doesn't hit it well. When he swings at that, he ends up just hitting a little bouncer. And, when he takes it, it gets called a strike. So, he'd probably be hitting closer to 300 if he didn't get that many bad calls on that pitch all year long. Eddie Layton tickling the ivories.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Landon C says, hey, the Yankees need to kill a bad team. Hey, well, look, as long as you win by 1, it counts as a win. Doesn't matter what the score is. I mean, and look, Frankie Montas is no joke. This guy is wanted by a lot of teams in that trade market. The Yankees probably among them. And for a reason. He's got good stuff. We saw it tonight. He had 7 strikeouts. His ERA on the season is 3.20. 2 walks, so he throws strikes. We saw Domingo Acevedo tonight for the A's. He was with the Yankees in the minor leagues from, I want to say 2013 through about 2019. So he makes an appearance. So, hey, look. Ben Green says Lucas will be DFA'd. No, I don't think so. They DFA'd Manny Banuelos today. He had been pitching pretty well. He was a good story. It was fun to see him come up and finally get to play in the Yankees organization, play in pinstripes. Now, if he gets DFA'd and no team claims him, which somebody will because he's pitched really effectively, then he can go down to the minor league. So he's not effectively out of the system yet, but I do think somebody will claim him. There's a lot of teams that could use a lefty. Bruce P says, Judge had 433 strikes called that were not strikes. That's the most in Major League Baseball. Appreciate the stat. I did not see it when that happened. I work on this during the game, and I'm not always looking directly at the screen or listening to the audio. Like, sometimes I'll have the audio on and no video, and sometimes I'll have the video on and no audio. But because I'm building all this out. So I don't always catch every little thing that happens. Ben Green also says Montas was auditioning. Let's see here. Cruise Control News says Luis Castillo would be a great fit for the Yanks. We've been seeing him mentioned in trade rumors for multiple years now. I feel like it's been at least 2 or 3 years since I've been doing this channel. Every year he gets mentioned because he's a guy who's, he's on a team that's not really contending, not going to contend anytime soon. He throws a hard sinker. We know the Yankees like sinkers. He's got a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. I think he would be a good fit, but right now the Yankees pitching, I think, has done fine, although, somebody mentioned this morning that we do need to address the potential fatigue factor. of, Severino and Cortez, guys who haven't pitched much lately or in the last couple of years, starting to have, tougher outings over the last couple of weeks. So I think everybody needs a break. It was nice to insert Sears into the rotation. I would leave him in there for a couple of trips through. That's just the way I would do it. Izon Acosta says, someone tell Gallo to stop practicing his golf swing each at bat. He's not really the golfer. It's more Aaron Hicks that's the golfer. And the only reason we're doing that is because that was a donut. I'm ignoring all the Gallo chatter. It gets tiresome. 330 M Broken Glass says, DJ had a good night. He hit a couple of balls hard. Yeah, he scalded one to right field, but, hey, in baseball, it's got to find grass to be a base hit. Anthony Pupo says, please explain to me why Andujar is not our left fielder. I really can't. I mean, the guy can hit. He can just hit. He belongs in the major leagues. Let's take a look at his stats in the minor leagues. So he is now hitting .306 on the year with 7 home runs and 23 RBIs. 358 on base percentage at AAA, 49 hits. He's got 7 doubles to go along with the 7 home runs. And in the major leagues, he was hitting .268, 11 for 41. I mean, he's basically hitting 100 points higher than Joey Gallo in less time, less at bats. But seriously, he needs a chance. Remember how electric he was in 2018? Being More Corey says another stat on Judge, 53 called strikes out of the zone, which is the most in baseball. Wow. 433 since 2017. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was thinking 433 seemed like a lot for the year, but I didn't want to question the stat because it was a very specific number. Alex Valerio says Andujar has improved his defense as well. Wholeheartedly agree. He's looked good every time that I've seen him. Let's take a look at Estevan Florial because we mentioned him earlier. Florial is hitting .288 with a .366 on base percentage. He's got 6 home runs and 22 RBIs. What stands out to me here is the 23 stolen bases. He's been very aggressive. He obviously runs pretty well. 813 OPS. He is 24 years old. So, I mean, if you're going to give him a shot, why not? But he pulls the ball a lot. He's kind of like Gallo. If you dig into the metrics, they're not very kind to Estevan Florial. But I've liked him, with regards to the eye test that every time that I've seen him so far. AJ Shavari says, if we traded for a starter, would we stay at a 5-man rotation or would Nestor go to the bullpen? First of all, I don't think Nestor's going to the bullpen. I mean, unless he continues to struggle, which is a possibility, in which case, yes, he would probably go to the bullpen. But I don't see the Yankees using their chips to get a starting pitcher because, I mean, if you think about last year, I think it was last year, where they could have gotten Stroman and they opted not to, it was because he would have been in the bullpen. I feel, I mean, you get to the playoffs, especially with the best record, you can set your rotation how you want because you can pick your off days. I think they're going to have Garrett Cole, Jamison Tyone, Nestor Cortez. All 3 of those guys deserve playoff spots in the rotation. Jordan Montgomery, probably. Luis Severino, we'll see how his arm is doing at that point. He hasn't pitched much over the last few years. He's the guy I'm more worried about wearing down because he's such a hard thrower. But I could see him going to the bullpen and being lights out like he was last year. We had to do that in 2009 with Phil Hughes, where, we could probably pull up Phil Hughes numbers in just a second. Hang on, let me go back to this screen for just a second, and I'll pull up Phil Hughes. So 2009, Phil Hughes was a starter, and he was not having a great year. And then they moved him to the bullpen, and he was absolutely lights out. Okay, so let's pull up his 2009 splits, and then I will go back to this screen for you. Sorry for all the music. I've got, there's music that triggers every time I switch screens, so it is what it is. All right, so here's the Phil Hughes splits from 2009. We're going to go look at what he did as a starter versus as a reliever. So, as a starter, he was 3-2 with a 5.45 ERA in 7 starts, right? And then you move into the bullpen, and he goes 5-1 with a 1.40 ERA. Now, it was for a different reason. You know, it wasn't like he hadn't been pitching, although in 2008, I think he did miss a lot of time. He was pretty much terrible in 2008. If we go back and look at his numbers, I want to say he was like 0-4 or 0-5. And he didn't throw a ton of innings. Yeah, he threw 34 innings in the major leagues in 2008. And then 2009, he starts in the rotation, he struggles, comes out of the bullpen, and dominates. I could see something like that happening with Luis Severino this year. Not because he would struggle, because he's been fine, but because, you know, he might get tired. Let's take a look at Luis Severino's innings over the last several years. So this year, he's already thrown 72 innings, which is more than he'd thrown combined in 2019, 20, and 21. So you don't blame him for getting a little bit fatigued. And he's striking out more than a hitter per inning. He's been really good. 1.069 whip so far. That's his best since 2017, where he had a 2.98 ERA on the year. He was a great season. Third in the Cy Young Award voting. I mean, people forget how good Luis Severino was. But I could definitely see him pitching out of the bullpen in the playoffs. And as 330 says, you know, he could go multiple innings, couple innings. You know, he pitched out of the bullpen last year in the playoffs against the Red Sox in relief and didn't do as well. But, you know, at home with a series where, you know, it's not a one game win or lose and go home. You know, you can kind of set up your pitching. I could see them scripting Luis Severino into a role where he's kind of a middle inning guy, especially with the shutdown bullpen that the Yankees have. Mike King and Clay Holmes. Who knows where Aroldis Chapman will be in the bullpen at that point. But, all right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Good night for the Yankees. One more time from John Sterling.
Over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Pamela Davis with the good take. Yeah, Florial, I think, is ready. Give him a shot. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.